You see that? You see that? You see that? You should consider buying that. And here's why. Okay, that intro was kinda hasty, so let me go into a little more detail on what exactly I mean. I, as made very apparent, adore a little game called Wizard of Legend. Unfortunately, it's not a very well-known or highly played game, for reasons I explained better in my What Happened to Wizard of Legend video, but for sake of this video, just know that not many people know about it or care to know about it. In fact, there is a high chance that you watching right now have no idea what the game is. This is not good. It's the equivalent of not knowing what a SpongeBob popsicle is on a hot steamy day, or not knowing what it's like to toss your car keys perfectly on the hook without stopping. There are things in life I think you can't miss, and playing Wizard of Legend is one of them. So, you might be thinking, why should I care to play Wizard of Legend? What's so good about it? Well, lucky for you, you clicked on this video, and so I'll go over the 5 reasons why you should buy and play Wizard of Legend. Dang it. Before we dive into the reasons, since this game isn't very well known, I'll give a brief summary of it. Wizard of Legend is an action roguelike with emphasis on a magic theme. In the game, you are a wizard, on a quest to complete the Chaos Trials, a magical competition held to test the strength of new wizards. On your quest, you battle through multiple dungeons filled with unique elemental monsters and bosses, defeating them using the arcana, relics, and cloaks you collect as you progress until you finally face off with Master Sura to become a Wizard of Legend. Wizard of Legend is an incredibly fun addition to the roguelike genre, perfectly encapsulating the core pieces that make roguelikes great, like great replayability and item diversity, while also adding its own fun and unique magic spin to the mix, with tons of creative magical enemies, arcana, relics, cloaks, and more. I go a lot more in-depth on the specifics of the game in my What Happened to Wizard of Legend video and my Gamer's Dialogue of Wizard of Legend, so if you want more info on the game itself, then check those videos out. But that summary is pretty much all the background you really need to know for this video. Now, let's get into the reasons why Wizard of Legend is so good and worth playing. Firstly, Wizard of Legend has beautiful graphics. This was definitely a thing I picked up on immediately after I started playing. Wizard of Legend, like many other roguelikes, uses top-down 2D pixel-style graphics. Many roguelikes in this category have outstanding graphics, and Wizard of Legend is definitely one of them. Watching the detailed effects of each element react on each enemy in beautiful settings is such a sight to see. The graphics are just so dang clean and fun to look at, with lots of color and lots of detail put into everything. It's evident that the developers did not let up on the graphics, as each and every part of the game, from the enemies to the attacks, and especially for the dungeons, is jam-packed with detail and vibrance. And speaking of the dungeons, gosh golly, the dungeons are pretty, and look so good with the variance and style depending on what element the dungeon is. And of course, to top it all off, all of these breathtaking graphics run with a pretty smooth frame rate. However, to be fair, I will say that the frame rate can start to get a little wonky when a lot is going on screen, especially on console. But this is a flaw that is kinda hard to avoid when making any game, and in my time playing on the PS4 with my friend, it didn't get in the way that often, if at all on some runs. So if you're a fan of gorgeous 2D top-down pixel-style graphics, definitely look into Wizard of Legend. It definitely won't disappoint. Another reason Wizard of Legend is so worth playing is because of its stellar combat. One of the best things I think about Wizard of Legend is its fast-paced and engaging combat. In every second of every minute of combat, you are constantly moving, dodging, and attacking your way through hordes of enemies. All the enemies on screen go at you at once, leaving you with very little time to react in response, which really adds high stakes and speed to the combat. It's not so much that it's overwhelming all the time, but it's definitely enough to keep you on your toes, and presents a great challenge. To combat these waves of enemies, the game supplies you with plenty of arcana, your attack spells. You can take 4 at the start of each run, a dash, basic, standard, and signature, and gain up to 6 total in your run. Each arcana can be used along with others to create chain combos, and with the massive number of arcana in the game spanning across all 6 elements, there are tons of strategies to take when it comes to building a run and utilizing it in combat. You could go for an all-strong offense and have less speed and defense, or count on your speed and evasion to sweep around enemies and pick them out one by one, or go for larger AoE damage to take out waves of enemies at once. There are tons of different routes and possible actions to take in combat. The sky's the limits to how many ways you can approach your enemies. All of these aforementioned factors, challenging fast-paced enemies and lots of strategy and chain potential with arcana, combine into extremely fun combat as you obliterate the fast encroaching enemies with tons of potential arcana combos. And the combos themselves are so satisfying to pull off, as the game rewards good decision making with cleaner flow of combat, along with taking out your enemies faster. And at face value, the combat in general just flows so smoothly, with each arcana flowing perfectly into the next one you use, decimating enemies and spectacular fashion. It genuinely is just fun to take out enemy after enemy. And what's better, I haven't even mentioned the other parts of the combat. Along with Arcana, you have relics, which can boost certain stats and provide all kinds of support in game, and cloaks, which when worn can provide a slew of unique bonuses to your character. You can also buy relics and Arcana in shops in each run, even further expanding potential builds. With so many options for builds and strategy for fighting, fast-paced and challenging enemies, and fun and well-flowing battle, the combat in Wizard of Legend is truly like none other, and a great reason to pick it up. Another, albeit quick reason to play Wizard of Legend is for its beautiful soundtrack. Now I know, the music of the game isn't really the selling point of many games, but I think it deserves a spot on this list, purely because it is just so great and makes the game that much better. Each piece has a great unique flow and theme, with strong peppy music for the bosses, grand orchestral pieces for the dungeons, and calmer, slower pieces for the starting area and Plaza. The music has a lot of weight and bearing to it, with tones that stick in my head for days while also being fresh on every listen to boost the experience of the game. I especially love that each specific dungeon element has its own corresponding music, in that the music fits the theme of each element, with the ice dungeon having a colder, icy theme, while the air dungeon has a more open, flowing theme, and the fire dungeon has a quick, grand, and burning theme. It's not the biggest or most important reason to get the game by any means, but if you're a fan of grand, unique, and memorable music, you might just enjoy Wizard of Legend that much more. Yet another reason Wizard of Legend is worth picking up is its huge amount of content and a large amount of diversity in enemies, Arcana, relics, cloaks, and just everything. Wizard of Legend has 17 cloaks, 188 Arcana, 293 relics, 17 unique enemy types with basic, enhanced, and chaos variants, 7 mini-bosses, 6 final bosses, and 6 dungeons. This game is just jam-packed with all kinds of unique and creative content to explore. Because of the inherent monotony that comes with roguelikes' core focus on replaying the same game over and over, diversity and quantity of content in roguelikes is crucial to bring fresh life to the game on every run, and Wizard of Legend's huge catalog of enemies, Arcana, relics, cloaks, and everything more than suffices. The diversity and amount of content, especially the equipment, also serves to give more meaning to the entire experience of the game. Aside from the small amount of equipment gained at the start of the game, all of the additional Arcana, relics, and cloaks are obtained through purchasing them in the Plaza with gems, which are collected in every run you take in the Chaos Trials. With the huge amount of equipment in the game, there is always something to buy and try out, meaning that there is always something to work towards. I played for well over 40 hours and I still haven't even come close to buying everything and trying out all the combinations of Arcana and relics and cloaks. And of course, there are plenty of fun and unique enemies to use your new equipment on, with each one posing a brand new threat to be handled in different ways. Along with that, there are 6 unique bosses with unique attack patterns and styles to fight. And of course, all the while, you can admire the large variance in the beautifully crafted dungeons. The game is just so awesomely diverse and creative with every piece of it, from the enemies to the bosses to the Arcana and everything. And there's tons of this creative content to discover. So if you would love to spend hours upon hours exploring the diverse and large amount of content Wizard of Legend has to offer, I suggest you go try it out. And finally, a huge reason why Wizard of Legend is so worth playing is because of its great replayability. A large barrier all roguelites have to cross is making their games replayable. Arguably, good replayability is the top priority for any roguelite, as roguelites as a genre rely on replayability, and a roguelite with bad replayability will be worse off, even if it has outstanding graphics and story and music, etc. But what exactly do I mean when I say good replayability, you may ask? Well, a roguelite with good replayability is, simply put, a roguelite that is fun to replay. All that good replayability is how enjoyable it is for players to replay the game. The more fun it is to replay the game, the better the replayability. This concept of good replayability is super crucial for roguelites, as one of the key gimmicks in every roguelite is the fact that you replay the same game over and over and over. No roguelite can really avoid this, as it is a core piece of what makes a roguelite. So good replayability is a necessity for any roguelite to succeed. In fact, the necessity of good replayability is best shown in the success of specific roguelites, as a very obvious trend can be seen in the success of certain roguelites and their tendency to have good replayability. So suffice to say that there is a lot of pressure on game devs to make their roguelites replayable, and boy oh boy did Wizard of Legend succeed in this department. All of those elements that I discussed before about Wizard of Legend culminate to its replayability. The game is replayable because of its stunning graphics, because of its amazing combat, because of its awesome music, and because of its great diversity and amount of content. All of these individual aspects of the game serve their own purposes, as it's great alone to have good graphics and combat and music and content, but they also wonderfully come together to make the whole of Wizard of Legend replayable. It's fun to replay Wizard of Legend to admire the amazing graphics, to have a blast with the strategic and great flowing combat, to listen to the banger of a soundtrack, and to discover all of the diverse content the game has to offer. And these are only some of the reasons for its fun replayability, as there's also to take into consideration the great story, progression, controls, etc., which for sake of time I didn't include in the list, but they're there. The entire game as a whole just works so well to keep players coming back, run after run, with new and fun and exciting things to do and explore. So to those who may be worried about it, I wouldn't worry too much about the game getting stale, as this game can stay fresh for a long time, and while it won't last forever, it'll get pretty close. So if you want in on all of those hours upon hours of replayability, definitely give this game a go. And that wraps up all my reasons. These are definitely not all the reasons why Wizard of Legend is great, nor are they objectively why the game is great, so make of what I said as you will. But I do hope that you all watching give the game a shot if you haven't. It sucks that this game hasn't gotten much recognition at all, as it's such a great roguelite and a great game in general, and I think more people should get to experience it, and hopefully this video will help to get some people to know the game. It's not for everyone, and it's not the most bestest, perfectest game ever, but I can say that it's at least worth looking into. So if you want, go give it a try, see how it is, see if it's really as fun as I say, and report back with a 10-page summary about it on my desk by Friday. Okay, fine, 5 pages. But what do you all think about this? To those who've played it, what other pieces of Wizard of Legend made it fun to you? And to those who played Wizard of Legend after watching this, was it what you expected? I hope it was a worthwhile experience. And what other more buried roguelites deserve some more recognition? Please tell me all about it in the comments. Also, I know you probably don't need it, but I'm always up to sponsor the game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, contingent 99. Look, I can even do the thing with my car keys.
Nope. No, dang it.
What?